What was your screw this, I quit moment at work? I spent my summer completely overhauling the network to apply for the upcoming system administrator position. They hired someone without any training and told me to train him. When a customer decided he apparently didn't like the taste and spit his chewed up food onto my face. Boss tried to get me to pay for the meal because he ended up comping it for the customer. LOL, screw that. I worked at Walmart. The building was literally on fire, in the back where the time clocks were, and my manager caught me at the door as I was evaluating and told me that if I walked out of the building without clocking out I would be fired. What was something you were definitely not supposed to see? As a middle schooler, I picked up a book at the library, flipped through the pages, and found an application for a replacement birth certificate for some old man. It had every detail about his personal identification on it. Naturally, I took it home thinking, I'll just hold onto this in case I ever need to assume a fake identity by pretending to be an 80-year-old man and flee the country. My mom found it and had to explain to me that we don't steal people's identities. My friend's dad was showing me pictures of a car he was restoring. He accidentally pulled up nude pics of my friend's mom instead. He looked awkward for a minute. He never said anything and then just started looking at car pictures like it never happened. When did you catch the hint that got you laid? In high school gym class, we were running laps. A cute girl is running next to me and we are sort of chatting a bit. Her friends run up behind her and begin chanting about her being a virgin. She gets mad and yells back, "I'm working on it." Even I picked up on that. The bank teller left her number on my cash envelope. I love online banking and mobile check deposit, but they've never gotten me laid. Chaining up my bike at restaurant. Chatty woman said, "Good for you for biking today." We enter the restaurant at the same time and the hostess asks, "Table for two?" Woman turns to me, "I don't know, will you be joining me?" What's something your employer did that instantly destroyed morale? Banned smartphones in the break room to force us to talk to one another and build camaraderie. It turns out we didn't like each other very much. No raises or bonuses this year due to company performance, but I will make it up to you by taking the whole company to the lake for a trip on my new huge boat. In a company of 6 people, owner said in a meeting with everyone that his 2 sales guys are irreplaceable and that the rest of us are just paper pushers. I once had a retail manager who sent out a memo that we worked so hard and did such a great job this month that she got a bonus. That went over like a lead balloon. People who got married on an "if we're both still single at 30 deal, what's your story?" My really good friend and I were joking about this in our early 20s, and I got an idea how she really felt about me when she said, "Yeah, if we're both single at 70, let's get married." 2 of my friends have this. I hope they realize they are made for each other before then, though. We ended up getting married a lot sooner. He wasn't necessarily waiting around for me, but I realized I'd be devastated if he ended up with someone else. Don't let the good ones get away. We've been married 13 years now and never regretted a minute of it. What's the best way you've cheated the system? I once had a $20 fine for an overdue book at the library, so I brought it back and shelved it myself. The next day I had a friend of mine go check out the book. The system said it was out, so they scanned it back in for my friend to check out. I later went to check my outstanding fine and it was erased. They must have assumed that the mistake was on their end, which is what I was relying on. When I landed from my international flight, there was what looked like a 2-hour line for nothing to declare and no line for something to declare. One of the options to declare things was food items, and I had a can of cashews. I just wrote down can of nuts, value, $2, and went through the declare line. Needless to say, they didn't care about the nuts, so they sent me through and I was on my merry way in no time. I learned that you can get into almost any special event by wearing a chef coat. Even just carrying one and walking like you know where you're going will work every time. Most people don't want to look stupid by asking you who you are. What inappropriate secret are you proud of? A few times a year, I translate hentai from Japanese to English so that other people can enjoy the story too. I once farted as I got on a packed train in London. I knew it was a killer but played it cool. The doors closed behind me and 10 seconds later a girl sitting next to her boyfriend hits him and shouts, "You're disgusting." I once had to call into court as a witness for an altercation that happened at my work. I was placed under oath over the phone. My girlfriend at the time was under the table, if you know what I mean. What was your most memorable school bus story? Our bus driver Leroy. This dude would never speak. He pulled up in his bus, opened the swing arm, glared at us, waited, closed the swing arm. Waited. Once we were seated, he would drive. Not a word, ever. We drank, we smoked, nothing. What finally broke him was a fight. Leroy pulled his bus over and got out of his seat. Standing in the aisle, Leroy said, "That's enough." The entire bus went silent. Leroy was the man. I had a bus driver who would purposely speed up when going over speed bumps so the kids could catch air. He got fired eventually for running into some garbage cans. What's the most disgusting thing you've seen in school? Would shop in 8th grade. My friend had the worst farts that day, and he ripped a huge fart into his box and closed it really quick. He then yelled to the temporary shop teacher, "Hey, this wood smells funny." The shop teacher grabs the box, opens it directly into her nose. It was the harshest direct hit I've ever witnessed. The teacher staggered and started gagging and had to leave the room. I saw some kid masturbating in the showers. He was just going at it. Everyone saw, but nobody made a remark toward it. I remember someone asking later why he was doing it. His response? "I was horny." What else was I supposed to do?
What is the stupidest crime cover-up you've seen? I knew a woman who robbed a house. She was house-sitting for silverware and jewelry. She pawned it off at the closest pawn shop, so she was caught right away. However, being the dumb thief she was, she poured bleach all over the house to apparently get rid of her fingerprints. Instead of petty theft, she ruined the stairs and all the hardwood floors and paint on the walls and ended up with expensive damages which launched her well into new legal territories. My nephew robbed a liquor store during a snowstorm in the middle of the night. He didn't have a car, so he had to walk. All the cops had to do was follow his footprints back to his house. He also stole $500 from my parents and hid the money in his butt. He was the only person in the house during the crime, so it couldn't have been anyone else. My parents demanded the return of the money and he complied. That was a pretty crappy thing to do.